Food and water shortages. Does the cooling down of the Earth mean higher food prices in the future? Udo, food and water, those are the two basic things for human mankind. And those are the two basic things we need to exist and to live. Let's talk about that, as you have those themes also in your fund, which is very interesting. Why is the weather so important for themes like food and water?
Yeah, food and agriculture as well as water is always a big part of our fund investments. And we just found out with starting of history that weather patterns, especially temperatures, affect food and prices of agriculture products. Basically, you can say the colder it gets, the higher the prices get, and the warmer it gets, the better it is for harvests and grains, actually. Mm-hmm. What we see this year is that the warm El Nino stream, it's a warm Pacific stream coming from Peru up to North America, to California, is now followed by La Nina, the little girl. And that's a very cold water, and the warm water is put actually to the side of Asia, to Australia, and they're gonna have wet weather and probably, maybe thunderstorms as well. And North America, probably a lot colder weather.
So you think we are getting a very cold winter then, huh?
It looks like. If you look at the natural gas prices, we come to that later on, they already acted, but you see it in the history when we had strong La Nina impacts in 1998 to 2000, how the prices 2 years later exploded, the grain prices in China. We had as well an effect in 2008 to 2010, where we had La Nina, and now it's already started this year in summer, and it's very possible that the next coming years we see a lot higher agriculture price. But this year we still might have the positive effects of El Nino, who was kind of warm time, so that could maybe start only by a year later than maybe next 1, 2, 3 years from now.
So that means lesser harvests and things like that.
Absolutely.
And so that's why the food prices may rise. Interesting was to me when I saw your presentation with those sun cycles. I mean, that's something like I'm not supposed to be, but can you give us an idea why the sun cycles are so important?
That's the next pattern. So we have this global pattern from the Earth side, El Nino and La Nina, and then we have on the sun side patterns that affect worldwide temperature as well, and that's the sun cycles. They normally have an average length of about 11 years, and we are currently in the 24th cycle, and that cycle is already coming down, as you see with the chart, already very strongly. So lower cycle means less sunspot, means less sun eruptions, means just a more silent sun, so the sun gets less active. So you could say that way the sun goes to sleep. And if the sun goes to sleep, we saw in history always lower temperatures worldwide. You saw that with the next chart in the beginning of 1700 with the Maunder minimum, and then 1800 the Dalton minimum, then beginning of 1900 you had a very cold period as well. And it's very likely that this year, starting now or the next couple of years, we see colder temperatures that could go for next 10 to 20 years actually.
And you were also talking about like a mini ice age. That's
something with this global warming, what we have everywhere, nobody is really talking about that. But there are some scientists who, especially solar physics, who talk about it, and that's something that one should maybe put a little bit into his back mind, that you can't rule that out. And we had a little mini ice age last 300 years 3 times, and you know what, the Earth had very cold and frozen periods, but we were never more or less grilled to death. So I'm more concerned about coldness than about heat at the moment.
That's right. Okay, I see. Of course, something as a consequence of the sun activity and what happened in the Earth, and also how human beings are acting, is the water shortage.
Water, absolutely.
So.
And food and water belongs together. As you know, the US is a big exporter of food, but food is nothing else than water. Without water, there's no food, there's no grain. They all need water. You need, for a kilogram of meat, you need about 7,000 to 8,000 liters of water, and for grain, for 1 kilo of grain, you need about 2,000 to 3,000 liters of rainwater.
Wow.
So the California, for example, they have with the Hoover Dam, which is actually representative, it's to 2/3 is more or less empty. So there's really a water scarcity there, and we have now about 1,000 to 1,075 feet of water left in the Hoover Dam, and that's just a warning sign how big the shortness of water is in California. And that affects everything. As you know, California is more or less the garden of the US. There is about 90% of vegetables and fruits comes from California.
Also almonds
or walnuts, and their prices actually, they just went up the last years and years, and I think that's part of our investment. So we are not really investing in California itself, but there are more or less alternatives in Australia, like Select Harvest. It's one of our stocks we invest a long time. It's one of the biggest almond producers, and they of course profited from the rise in price of almonds and walnuts and the whole areas that are affected by the water scarcity.
So that's one of your alternatives to invest. And I mean, you are a fund manager. You are not like a physicist or a scientist. Yeah, this was very scientific now. But let's come to some ideas or companies you are following. For example, like Enwave here, which is one of the leaders in the world in microwave dried food, for example.
Absolutely, and we met the CEO actually in St. Gallen, where you had the presentation actually, and he, I think it's a very interesting company with a very innovative technique to vacuum size dairy, fruits, vegetables, or meat. And it's an early stage company. That's always with a risky investment. You have to know about that. But if you look at the chart and all their products, it's now above $1 They make progress. They start to sell the licenses.
That are even profitable this year now.
Profitable, money is flocking in, and I think it's an interesting company in Canada. And we are always on the lookout on the food side for innovative companies that help to make our earth more sustainable. Another company, for example, is in Australia or New Zealand, the A2 Milk Company. They're specializing in so-called A2 casein protein milk. So they produce milk and milk products and baby dairy foods where they say there's no lactose intolerance and no milk allergies because they skip the A1 beta casein, and that's kind of suitable for all the more or less Asian people, and they are growing really fast. They are growing 45% on average the last 5 years in Australia, and my fund partner in London just told me he can buy A2 milk in the supermarkets of London.
Fantastic.
So their growth is really running, and I think that's something to think about. That's also coming back to the original races of the cows and not do too much harm to kind of overproducing and cross them too much just to take the maximum out of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better to go back to the biological origins, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
absolutely.
perfect. So that means those were just two examples out of your fund, and that means you, before you select the company, you really take your time to digest the company, to watch the company, to analyze, right?
Absolutely. And we all look at different methods, including the sustainability, how helpful that will be for our earth, for our kids, for our young people, to make it a more healthy and more sustainable planet. We know we have to use energy, we need food, everything is needed, but we have to use it in some way that we kind of take care of the resources of our environment and our earth.
Yeah, fantastic. Great, Udo, thank you very much for that, and all the best for your fund and for the future.
Thank you very much.
And also just I want to tell our viewers here, Udo wrote a book also, Nie wieder Fegen. It's in German, but maybe it will be soon in English, and it's a fairy tale about the European Union. He has written it 20 years ago. It's a fairy tale like Orson Welles' Our Little Farm, and I've already started to read it, and I must say it's very worth to read it, and it's like what happened here with the Brexit. It's actually chapter 6 out of 12. So check it out. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Udo. Thanks for watching us here. I'm your host, Jochen Steiger from Commodity TV in partnership with Dukascopy TV. And bye-bye from Geneva.